Hey there, what do you say there, world? Welcome to another episode of the Races Recap, Season 31, Episode 8. My whole crew is together, and I'm so excited. James Earl, straight from the dramatic episode of Memphis General. How's everything going out there?
Going good. Last week was a little crazy. Had just a lot of sick patients and a lot of craziness outside of the hospital. So glad I escaped there and back here.
Yes, I'm glad that you survived all of the exciting things that were happening outside. And any avalanches in your world, Jen?
I have been sticking to mountain biking, but my husband is like at this exact moment at 18,250 feet on Denali, 2,000 feet from the summit. So
Wow.
Damn.
that's exciting. I'm so
That is
happy
really
for him.
cool.
Yeah,
What
we have
did
this little tracker and it's the funnest thing ever.
Wow, that's beast mode.
Yeah, he's crushing. It's only been like 6 hours since he started this morning too.
Wait,
so.
he went that high in 6 hours?
It's insane. I don't quite understand.
Goodness.
Yeah, that's why I'm not there.
You guys are awesome.
Whole other
Jesus.
level. It's cool. Anyway,
Cool. Yeah. I just changed the diaper. So I'm not living as an exciting life as you guys this
pretty
time.
much the same thing.
Dad life.
Diapers are a scary place.
Diapers,
I don't like them.
diapers can be scary for a lot of people. I don't really mind them, so I take a lot of the diaper duty on.
Oh,
So
that's
takes something off her back. She doesn't have to worry about 90% of it. All right, leg 8 starts the way every leg should start. Self-drive during a sunrise, as everybody's just waking up, so there's not a lot of people out on the street to help. It's really just you and your instincts. Right before any cars are on the road. Love this time of day to start. What do you guys think about starting the day before a lot of businesses are open?
I like it.
I'm ready for. I wish we had self-driving because I promise you, Mom and I would crush this. Give us a stitch shift. I'll find a map and we will destroy it.
Woo! Confidence.
Oh,
I love
100%.
it. I love it.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm pretty confident growing up driving in New York. I figure I could drive anywhere in the world.
You definitely just need to get a map. Like, don't think you don't need a map. That's
Yes.
all I'll say. We had a lot of self-drive and maps are everything.
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
And knowing how to read a map, like you have to understand how maps work. The map doesn't talk to you.
Right. But I mean, like, I grew up with that. So, like, me and my grandmother, we took, like, countrywide trips where we would just be like, let's go to the Grand Canyon. And I would hit the map and, like, trace us out where we're going and, like, figure out stops along the way. So, like, I'm used to that.
Yeah. Huge.
That's the way to do it. I mean, maps, they're crucial. And knowing how to read them is even more crucial because you can have a map. And as a lot of teams have seen, they have a map. I still can't read it. I can't find where we're going. But not a lot this season. But one team really suffered this leg. We'll get to them coming up soon. Team Fun, Colin and Christy are working together to drive to their first clue. What do you think about this working together? Do you know it's going to be a bunch point and you're just like, let's buddy? Or how do you feel about working together?
I think there's a time and a place for working together. A team followed us and then stopped following us and then got lost because they stopped following us in France. Mm-hmm. So it would have been more advantageous for them to continue following us. So like if you know that like Team Fun seemed pretty confident that Colin and Christy were better at the navigation thing. So in that instance, like I think it's good to swallow your pride sometimes, especially at the start of the leg, just get there.
And also, if you're Colin and Christy, come on, follow us the entire time. Because if we get lost together, I know I can beat y'all. So, why would Colin and Christy not want that?
Totally.
That's all right. That's some good thinking both ways on that one. Rachel talking about having the record for the most legs ever run in the history of the Amazing Race, but she didn't mention that there's a team currently on the race that has twice as many wins as they do. She has 32 legs won. Tyler and Corey now have 8 legs won. And then if 32 legs won, I think she has 3 victories, maybe 4 victories total.
Yeah.
I mean, people give Rachel a lot of smack. Some of it I get, not all of it. Justin, for someone that you love to say your records personally, like I don't think you can like shoot her down for saying her record because she has raced 32 legs and she
But
has.
Is that a record to be proud of, to have the most legs raced?
I mean, she survived each and every one of those legs. She may not have thrived and gotten first every single time like some green team in 27.
She's averaging 1 first place a season. She's been on 3 seasons.
And she has outlasted that many other teams.
Yes, that's true. No, I mean it's a record. I don't know how to like root for that, so I'm just asking you guys in general. Is that a record that you would be proud to have? Like
100%.
If I were in Rachel's shoes, I would definitely be talking about being the person who had run that many legs. Okay. There's no doubt about it. Whether or not like anyone should be just like, oh my gosh, that's so incredible, is a different conversation. But I would definitely brag about it because it's cool.
Yeah,
regardless of
there's only a handful of teams have ever run 3 times. Never mind.
Yeah.
And nobody's ever really finished twice except Eric.
We had to look this up. Eric, and then who was the other 2 we said?
What was it?
Oh, it was Brendan and Rachel. Those
Brendan
3.
And Rachel,
three racers that have made this finish line twice.
So, but now that Rachel, we know what happens at the end of this episode, Leo and Jamal can technically take that record as they will be running their 31st leg this next episode. Could be running the 32nd leg, tying the record, and then run a 33rd leg. So it's possible for them to beat the record. Tie the record seems pretty easy for them. Beating the record.
I mean, they almost not so much though.
Yeah, I must say they're on the struggle bus recently. This may not happen for them.
Okay, we'll see how you feel about that because I have interesting. I see they've been struggling, but I have some interesting points about the Afghanimals. We'll see. So right. Leo sees a cat and goes ballistic, runs full speed. Never seen Leo run that fast the whole race. Animals, inspiration on the race. How do you feel about seeing the animals? I know, James, there are a lot of dogs in our season.
Yeah. Uh-oh. You all right?
Sorry. Yep, we're good. Don't know what's happening.
The uh-oh when the husband's 18,000 feet in the air.
No, we're good.
I'm not a big fan of stray animals. You know this, Justin. I'm just not going to love on the strays. But that's me.
I'm a doctor. I know all the diseases they carry.
A cat in Switzerland is like pretty safe bet though. Like when you were in Morocco and like Jessica was like all up in the feral cats like around in the fish market.
Not the place to be.
That's not the kind of cat to like get excited about. I think you're pretty safe in Switzerland. And like, I'm a huge dog person. Like I missed my dog so much. And if I would see a dog, I'd be so amped. But not in the middle of a race. Like, I guess they knew they were like waiting for a while. So at that point, yeah.
It was just chilling.
I'd snuggle. I'd try to catch the cat and give it a hug.
All right. The Rileys want to clear the air with the Afghanimals. Was there any chance that was going to work?
Absolutely not. Like at that point, just cut your losses. Just own it.
So funny. It definitely. It's funny to see kind of some of that other, like the other reality show stuff come in, where it's like, you know, trying to. I don't know. It's just like A, it doesn't really even matter that much, and B, like it's not going to be effective. Yeah.
Zero chance. Even if they did a great job at negotiating their points. Zero chance, but they again did a terrible job.
But my thing is like, why does it matter, especially with the Afghanimals? Because the Afghanimal is the team that like messes with people's minds. They like tell them wrong, like, oh, it's that way when it's really this way. Like, why of any team are you trying to get the Afghanimals? Like, I get it if you're trying to get like the sweetheart team that's going to let you read their clue, that's going to give you directions. Like, if you're trying to mend that bridge, I get it. But like the Afghanimals, why bother?
And I agree with Andy Gomez in the chat room that Chris and Brett just having them to adds them to any season just makes the scene better. Add them to
funny.
any scene just makes it better. And them just eavesdropping made that scene so much better. So much more
Agreed. Comic relief, like the fake stretching. Oh, ah.
So what are you going to do? You say everybody has to wait till 7 a.m. Before they could do anything. Afghanimals even said after all that, it doesn't matter, that they would still U-turn them. So kind of confirming what everybody already knew. At 7 a.m., everybody runs to see Phil. Now, when you see Phil on the race, sometimes it's an inspirational thing because lately it's been like, when the first team arrives to a clue, he breaks in and does the thing. That's pretty cool. But most of the time, it's a bad thing. What are you guys thinking when you see Phil? Everybody's lined up looking at Phil. Is this ever running through your mind? I know we've watched a lot of international seasons between us. What would be going through your mind when you see Phil?
Well, we had this happen in Africa when they introduced the partner swap. So seeing Phil at like the start of a leg, you're just kind of like, something crazy is coming, but you have no idea what, so you don't even really know how to prepare. It's not like, I don't know, your heart doesn't sink unless you
get a partner swap.
And they get eliminated. Yeah, the partner swap was the worst. It was the worst. But yeah, I don't know. You're just jaw on the floor. I mean, you could see it on everyone's face, what they were feeling.
I mean, you turn vote out loud. What do you think about out loud? Would it better drama out loud? Does it really take away the drama out loud?
The one thing that I hated I don't mind the out loud. I wish the voting would have been prior and private. So like, I don't care if you have to reveal your vote out loud in front of everyone, but I feel like there was a constant dynamic shift every single vote that really favored whoever was on the back end of the voting. Well, so like the back end of the voting took the power, and that's the part I hated. I wish it would have been like, we write our name on a piece of paper and then have to announce it out loud. That I'm good with, because you still get your drama, but it doesn't shift the power. So like Rachel and Alyssa in that situation had like no power, and like they had no strategy. Like they're the first team, they just got to say a name, and then Chris and Brett pretty much decided who they wanted to eliminate.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good point.
It was a random draw though, so at least it was random. I mean, nobody had an advantage on that. There's a question in the chat room from Yario Garcia. Season 27 and season 30, which team would we have voted for if we had to U-turn a team?
I don't know, Justin. What team do you think we would have voted for?
I think you guys would have probably voted for the paparazzi.
We would have. I was going to say, if you were going to take the bait and say for yourself, we would have 100% voted for the paparazzi.
It depends on when, though, because there's at least 4 legs, 5, maybe 5 legs that you guys would have U-turned. Before India, you guys didn't really like us much.
You and I, like, here's the thing, though. I never had an issue with y'all. I just wasn't going to take your shit. Paparazzis, I did not like them. 100% we would have voted for the paparazzis for 2 reasons. Because I think a U-turn on y'all would have been wasted, because I don't think it would have gotten y'all out. But the paparazzi we could have eliminated, and they were always in that like middle zone with us, which meant at some point we were competing for the bottom with them. Right? So me and Mom, we're not going to be the person that wins every single leg. We just got to make it to the finale and kick one leg, like kick ass on one leg. So that would have been the smart play from us.
Yeah. I agree. I probably would have voted for paparazzi for the same reasons, because I would have think that they would U-turn what little friends that I had left on the race. And they were the only real team that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, even though they were telling me the truth. What about you, Jen? You guys were so nice to everybody.
We would have U-turned. We most likely would have U-turned Henry and Evan. We may have considered Jess and Cody, but we wouldn't have U-turned anyone else. Ocean Rescue we were friends with, IndyCar we were friends with, and we felt like pretty confident in being able to beat both of those teams. We felt confident in being able to beat most teams. Henry and Evan is the one that we overheard them saying that they would U-turn a strong team. And so we knew that like we were on their radar. So if given that opportunity in that setting, I think we probably, and we were least close with them, so probably would have been them.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Definitely makes some sense there. So we got some U-turn voting. Now it winds up being Colin and Christy, and now it's a double U-turn vote. So it's a different strategy when voting for somebody for a double U-turn as opposed to voting for a single U-turn. Single U-turns are so much harder to overcome than a double U-turn. Is voting for Colin and Christy, even though they're a tough team, is that smart? Because they have the possibility of overcoming a U-turn because they're
Why does it matter that they could overcome it? I 100% think that was the right choice to U-turn them. Like everyone has to vote. You have to say it out loud. Like it's a very easy, logical explanation, which I was happy to see many people say, you have the best average. Like you're the strongest team, the most consistent team. You have to take that shot. 100% have to.
What do you think, James Earl?
I mean, in that situation, yes, that made sense to me. I don't understand the rest of the votes, honestly. Like, if you're going to do it, if you're going to ball out and just try to get a strong team out, put 2 top strong teams out there. I just don't understand, like, no tea, no shade to Rachel and Alyssa, but, like, they're not a Colin and Christy. Like, get a Colin and Christy against a Tyler and Corey, or get a Colin and Christy versus a Nicole and Victor, like, 2 powerhouses. So trying to get one of them out. That's
exactly what my mindset was. I was going to see if we got there. The same thing. If you're going to do it right. 2 power teams or 2 weak teams. It has to work together. Now, if you do one of each, it's stupid to do one of each.
Totally agree with that.
2 power teams or 2 weak teams. It's the only way to use a double U-turn. I hate double U-turns. I'd rather single. But if you're going to do it that way. Or if it's possible to do we're going to vote for one team and then waste the second vote so nobody can use it. So only one team is really U-turn.
You know what I really would have liked to see too? This would have kind of been cool. Is if every single individual racer voted.
Oh, rather than teams?
Oh.
Yeah. That'd have been kind of cool too. So like they kind of just separate everyone gets a vote and just see what happens.
Well, obviously Nick and Vic would have voted for different teams. Even though when we go back and listen, the exact quote from Nicole, I don't know what to do whatever. That was the last thing. That was the last thing she said to Victor, even though she swore it wasn't. She was like, no, Vic, I told you. No, he said, no. Then you said, I don't know what to do whatever.
Do whatever.
So what do you think, Nick?
I mean, that was a clear who was in the right and who was in the wrong to that one. Like, I don't know why they were arguing about that later.
So we agree Colin and Christy was the right choice, but the bad choice was the Riley sisters.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
it should have been Tyler and Corey or
Tyler and Corey. Definitely. I think it's hands down Tyler and Corey. I don't know why they've been since the race started. I felt that they've been the strongest team, even though they didn't get off to a great start. But I always felt that they still were the scariest team in the race, regardless.
Yeah.
And
it still boggles my mind that Chris and Brett chose who they did, because like the only team statistically, and I'm just saying straight statistics, that's weaker than Chris and Brett at this time was Rachel and Alyssa. So like if you're sitting there and you have the power, who do they have the power to send at that point in time? Wasn't it like Nicole, Victor, Aft Animals, or Rachel and Alyssa, right? Like they had those 3 to choose from?
Yeah.
So like of those 3 teams, why are you choosing the one team that's weaker than you that you've been beating?
Rachel's anger at that, I mean, it was completely valid. Like from a race perspective, like it was hilarious what she said. But from a race perspective, she was, I think, absolutely right. Like that was a wasted vote. I'm like, I love how you just threw yourself under the bus. But it was a complete,
Yeah. I mean, she doesn't have a right to be upset. She played a terrible social game. And if somebody from Big Brother should know, she's been playing a terrible social game. And that's why she got U-turned. That's the funny.
You know who got the real short in this one is Alyssa. Because the entire time during all of this, she is constantly trying to rein her sister in and be like, stop it, stop it, stop it.
Totally.
And none of it's working.
All right, we get the speed bump. You have to get 26 flags, roll them up, and store them. What do you think about the speed bump? Pretty straightforward, easy, set time before you can kind of get it done. What do you think? Too easy?
I mean, comparable to the ones we've had so far. So I kind of have to look at it like that. I mean, making snowballs, washing laundry.
Like I said, my
folding
feelings on this.
flags.
The speed bump should just be like a little slap on the wrist that you're like, oh, okay, but you should be able to keep moving forward from it. They get boring. They do. I get why they're needed, but like, meh.
Yeah, this is the last
most
speed
fun to
bump.
watch.
So we don't have to worry about that anymore now that the speed bumps are done. We get to the detour. Are we haymaking or are we cow festivaling?
I'd probably haymake.
Getting a scythe and cutting down some hay and then making like this kind of hay doll.
Mom and I had a rule that live animals we would avoid at all possibilities. Like unless we were forced to, and every team was forced to, we're not dealing with live animals.
Live animals,
the same.
Unpredictable. Smart racers choose not to go with an animal, even though if the animal thing may be a little bit faster. The only exception to that rule for Diana was anything with elephants.
Oh, yeah.
So that was the only exception. Is like anything with elephants we're doing. I don't care if it's slower. She's like, I'm doing it with elephants. So
but who all did the cow? It was just the two teams that were U-turned, right?
Yeah.
Dress the cow. So yeah, I have and Christy, and the Rileys, Colin and Christy and the Rileys.
Okay. I can't remember anyone else doing it.
No one else did, I don't think. I think they were the only ones because they were
right.
No, Nick and Vic.
You're right.
Use the gas pedal. Yes, Nick and Vic. Okay, so now here's something with the cow dressing. The Rileys had their flags in a different place than Colin and Christy, and they both got like the nod through yes. One team had them on top going up, and the other team had them on the bottom going down.
Yeah.
It's one thing that irked me looking through. I don't know if it was just because the headdress was up like this and one headdress was upside down like this, but they were still both right. Because technically they didn't put it on. They gave it to a professional to tie that on because they didn't tie the headdress.
So the professional put it on upside down?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe that's why. It's the only thing I can think of if anybody noticed it. That's one thing that
I did. I just wasn't
got me going crazy.
I didn't think about the professional putting it on. But I mean, if they put it on, you can't fault a team for that.
Yeah, I know. But it's like just watching continuity-wise. I'm like, what? They're cheating for the Rileys? What? This is why people say they're cheating? Are you kidding me? It's clearly different than the other team. Then I went back and watched it. I'm like, okay, one's upside down. But then I went further back, and it's like somebody else is putting them on. So, yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
No.
I was just going to say it's kind of surprising because there's usually such attention to detail on that stuff, but it was also somewhat inconsequential. So whatever.
Yeah. So the cows, the Rileys and the Afghanimals, different flags. Did you know?
The Afghanimals did too. Apparently, I just was asleep during this episode. I did not realize so many people did the cows.
Wait, the Afghanimals did the cows?
No, I wrote Afghanimals, but I don't think they actually did it.
Okay.
I think it was the other team, Nick and Vic. Had it different places. Did you know that you can use the tail as a gas pedal?
I don't know if that's a thing or if the cow just got pissed off because someone's messing with its tail.
I would not even think to do that, but it seemed to work.
I'd be afraid the cow would kick me.
Yeah. But I mean, hey, if you figure something out, that's huge. If you can get the cow to move with just a little twist of the butt.
Maybe that's something people should do before going on Amazing Race is study animal communication, ways to effectively communicate with sheep, donkeys, cows,
hogs. I need to learn how to herd animals. Yeah. That's usually a big thing. Yeah. So what do you think about Colin almost losing it? The cow is not moving. He's yanking on the cow, and he starts to get all upset. They see he's getting a little upset. This is bull, and then goes to commercial. Did you think we were going to see finally old Colin back?
I have a feeling that was a bigger explosion than what they showed of it. Yeah, only because of over analyzing Colin's social media posts. But he kind of kept hinting at maybe there would be, and I know personally that they didn't show me blow up ever. I look so nice, and I definitely
That's why you're on the show. You need to balance me out. James Joe wasn't enough. We needed somebody else.
It's like I definitely had moments of like throwing tantrums that didn't get in there because it doesn't like fit the storyline, you know? So I'm kind of wondering, yeah, totally. You just got screwed with your storyline a little bit. Like they showed all the evidence.
I was a bad guy.
I want you to know I was there for this. There wasn't much else to show.
There wasn't a lot else going on. If everybody hates us, then they just have to show everybody hating us.
I can't tell if that was a bigger thing than him or not. I would love to know. I do not think that Colin would let himself get to that point again, because I think his whole thing for this was like a redemption. Like, I will not do that. Yeah. So I think he's like hyper analyzing himself to keep himself in check.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it was, my ox is broken status, but
or like throwing money at the what were they at police? Like, just for take it.
Going to jail. He's like, I'm not going to jail. Let me go to jail. I'm just going to go to jail. All right. So what are we going to do? We're going to see Colin almost losing it, comes back, maintains control, and gets through it. What did you think about the Christy using her Zen techniques to pick the proper cow, and then picking a cow that wasn't that proper?
They lead a very different lifestyle than me, and I'm not trying to be like a jerk. There's nothing like. No. I think they are amazing people. We live very different lives.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I think whatever sense you want to tap into to choose your animal works for me. Whatever.
Sorry. We got an idiot in the chat room.
Uh-oh.
It's okay. He's gone! All right, so yeah, whatever works at the time works at the time. Collins seemed to pick it up. The Rileys leave the clue on the table, and they, instead of running back and getting it, they run to the next task and then just watch Colin and Christy. What do you guys know about leaving clues behind?
Terrible idea.
It's a terrible idea, but I think that Alyssa, I think I had this right. Alyssa did not want to run back, and Rachel did. I don't think they could have afforded the time to run back, get the clue, and come back. Because they finished it. They were a little behind Colin and Christy, but they were going to be a really behind Colin and Christy if they ran away and ran back.
It worked out this time, but for anyone watching this who may be a future racer, terrible decision. Yes. Because you don't know what that next thing is going to be. They were fortunate that they were able to watch Colin and Christy and see what you had to do, and it was very obvious what you had to do. But that is I don't know, that could have had dire consequences.
You run the risk of having a major penalty, if you break some of the rules. So there's what you don't see is you see them open up the clue and they read a little bit which side of the detour, and it is a brief description that they read out loud for the TV. But behind that is a giant piece of paper, sometimes two pieces of paper that are full of bulleted points saying you can't do this, you can't do that, you must do this in this order and this time, and you must only use these tattoos or these equipment, and you must dress this way. So there are a ton of other rules.
Yeah, you have to have that. And turns out, fun fact, they didn't show it, but they did go back and get the clue.
Oh,
did they really?
They did. Yes, Alyssa talked her into it.
But why then were they asking?
They probably did it before they ran back. They probably got there, asked them, knew they didn't have an option, and couldn't figure out what to do.
They thought that they'd be able to get another team there to give them their clue. When they realized they couldn't get somebody else to show them their clue, they had to run all the way back. They were like, there's no way that we can go on without the clue. Which is an old rule, but you can go ahead without the clue. And if they went and didn't know where their clue was and they went back and got another clue, then they would have gotten a penalty for getting a second clue.
I see.
So that's
interesting.
The ruling behind it.
So you can get a second clue, you just get a penalty? I didn't know that. I dissolved the clue in water accidentally, so that was also a bad call. When the clue comes in a plastic baggie, keep the clue in a plastic baggie.
Yes.
It's the plastic baggie for a reason.
Yes.
It was one, so
would you have the nerve to ask the team that you turned if you could read their clue?
If that was my only option, for
Yeah.
sure.
You would have asked Henry and Evan, and you would have asked paparazzi.
When I was told no, I would just be like, okay, yep, totally fair.
If I'm in their situation, like, you have nothing to lose. So, like, maybe they say maybe they're not thinking and they show it to me. I'm like, okay, look at it real quick and get what I need.
So you would have asked paparazzis?
If I'm in their situation, if I'm going up against the paparazzi, I have no idea where my clue is. My choices are to run around looking for this clue or ask the paparazzi. I'm going to ask them. They're going to say no, but at least I'm going to ask them.
Yeah.
Would you expect anything different than absolutely not, which was Christy's answer?
I loved Christy's answer. I actually was kind of surprised with like how curt she was. I would have imagined like a softer delivery of the no, and I loved it.
Oh no, it was everything. That was like a queen moment for her.
Yeah, that's definitely it. Yeah, I mean, and it's good to see her standing up and doing it, because it seems like she wasn't as confident. I mean, obviously not as confident as Colin is, but it seems like in the first season she definitely wasn't as confident, because Colin did so many of the roadblocks, and now she's gaining a cool confidence, which I really enjoy watching them two race.
I thought you were talking about this season at first, and I was like, she's crushing it this season.
No, this season she's got this whole new confidence about her it's really fun to watch them two together.
Yeah.
All right, so this is when we start to go and see who wants to be a big shot, where you gotta play William Tell using a nail gun, pretty much a nail crossbow.
This was actually a really cool roadblock. It's not like super fun to do, I imagine.
Right.
But from a viewer at home, it's so fun, because especially when you get like 5 or 6 teams there, like anyone can get it at any point. So like there's a lot of drama there, and those teams were feeling the pressure. When there's like 5 teams there, you've heard one team at least say, go find Phil at the pit stop. So you got to get this.
Yeah.
Like, it was a smart roadblock.
I liked it too.
I love it. And it's funny because as soon as everybody's lining up, the first thing I'm yelling at Diana is, they got to aim high. They got to aim high. Those things are going to have an arc. And then it's like low, low, low. And I turn to Diana and she goes, see, that's why we would have just had a little advantage. We would have had a little advantage. It's the little things. Don't look at just aim high. And obviously the cop from Boston gets up and uses his cop tactics, gets it on his second shot. Yeah. Did you think the cop was going to have an advantage from shooting guns?
Yes.
I mean, how can you not? Like, I mean, any projectile is essentially going to be the same. You just have to figure out like the force behind the particular one you have.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed seeing it. I enjoyed seeing them get out in the lead, and you're looking at it. It's like the pit stop is next, and Chris and Brett are heading to the pit stop first. What is going on here? They should be gone already.
It was a weird ledge.
I loved it. I'm bummed for them. I really wanted them to get that win simply because of how much Brett just crushed that roadblock.
Diana said the same exact thing when they left. She's like, oh, well, good for them. I'm so glad that they're going to get a win at least.
Yeah. I still don't quite. I guess they tried to go to. I don't understand how.
So Tyler, it's a self-drive boat after this, which okay. I loved because it was a self-drive boating, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
And Chris and Brett had experience. Chris had experience boating. He has a boat, so he was real confident. Chris and Brett get in the boats first. Tyler and Corey get in right behind them, but maybe because of the weight difference, it made a little bit to catch up. Those seconds added up because it was a longer race. They pretty much got to the place at similar times. Chris and Brett got there first, went to the vernacular.
And it was closed.
It was closed. Tyler and Corey. They knew Tyler and Corey were going to beat them in a foot race anyway.
Right, for sure. That was the right decision for them. But I mean, I'm curious whether that was indicated in the clue at all. It would have been an easy detail to like overlook.
That doesn't.
You heard Corey mention it though. They were saying like the vernacular has specific leave times, which Corey mentioned on the boat going there. I don't know if it told the specific, like, oh, it's only at the top of the hour. I don't know if that part was in there, but you heard Corey at least mention it.
Okay, yeah.
And
unfortunate.
there's a question in the chat room. Why was it a funicular an option if it was going to be closed? Well, if you listen to the race, the thing starts at 7 a.m. and the thing doesn't open till 10, and everybody's done. So this whole leg took 2 hours and something minutes. Like the whole leg took less than 3 hours. I don't think they were expecting this whole leg to be a 3-hour leg or less than 3-hour leg. So that's why it was an option.
And there's been options like that before. Like I remember there was that one roadblock where you could either like glide down the mountain or you could just run down it. Like they've done stuff like that before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Afghanimals self-drive lost. Not just lost, but like lost. They fell back about 40 minutes because they went 20 minutes the wrong way. Had to come 20 minutes back. Self-drives. Did you guys have any rules about self-drives with time limits, longer drives, potentially getting lost? Did you guys have any rules on those?
I mean, we were going to have a map and we were going to have specific directions, or we weren't just going to aimlessly drive down a road. Like we're not. And I told Mom that before we went on. You know, we haven't been able to like prove ourselves on that because we had no self-driving in our season. But that was our standard.
The tricky part, here's what's tricky about maps, because you think you can just get a map and it's super easy, but maps come in all different scales, right? So in certain cities, you have like the tourist map, which is like super zoomed in on like your little village area. And then if you have to do a self-drive that goes outside of that, suddenly you're off your little tourist map. But if you try to get like a bigger road map, then you don't have landmark destinations. So it becomes much harder once you're then in the city trying to find your final destination. So like figuring out the scale is probably like the most challenging element of maps. Like we did all sorts of things of trying to like figure that out. But it's just using Google Maps where we could and zooming in at different
that changes the game
scales,
for self-drives.
Right? But like even when oops, what is my phone doing? Even when oh my God, Google Maps just opened on my phone. How creepy is that?
It's listening.
Anyway, yeah, but even that didn't work out that great because it just, then we were like, we printed it out at the travel agency and then we're trying to like hold 8.5 by 11s together and like line up our map, like whatever. It's just hard. But yeah, if you can get step-by-step directions, like take the time to plug it in on somebody's smartphone and write it down, do it. Like the technology is there. You just have to take the time to slow down enough, which feels painful, but is helpful.
It makes up for it in the end when you know where you're going. Somebody in the chat room, Cynical Romance, said Colin, Christie, Team Fun, Tyler, and Corey all had maps. The Afghanimals didn't get the map because they felt they had an intuitive sense of direction.
Intuitive sense of direction does not help if you don't know where you're intuiting yourself to.
Yeah. Nope.
And Sandy K, can you legally drive in all these countries? We have to, before going on the race, go and get an international driver's license, which I went to AAA. And
AAA does them all.
Took the international driver's license test, and that allows you to drive in a ton of countries.
Was there a test? I literally just gave my license, and they gave me a thing back.
Really?
Same. I didn't have to take a test. Definitely not.
God, I want to go wherever you guys were. It was like a 20-question test.
I love that you had to take a test and you didn't even need to use your license.
That's so cool. So yeah, that's how we can drive in other countries. Yeah, and we'll see how good that intuitiveness goes for the Afghanimals as they fall behind everybody else. But I love that they showed up, and there's almost every team is there except for 1 or 2 teams that left for first place. Everybody else is there. Love this kind of showdowns. It seems like James Rowe, you really like these type of showdowns. Do you like it when everybody's up close like this, or do you like when people are separated and nobody knows what kind of place they're in?
You always have some kind of idea. Because like I could think back to even in Poland when Kelsey and I were at the Roadblock together. At one point in time, I was like, "Are we competing for last?" And she's like, "No, I think we're competing for second and third." So like, you always have some sense of idea of where you're at. You do.
Okay.
I didn't feel that way, especially on self-drives, because like I don't know, I didn't feel that way. I was always like, had no idea where we were and thought we were losing.
That's what I like about long self-drive legs, because you never know where if it's short, then you kind of get an idea. If it's short, 15-minute here, 20-minute here. But when it starts to get hours, that's when you never know what place you're in. But I kind of always felt like I knew what place I was in during our season as well. At least,
like I said, we never had self-driving, so it's hard for me to like relate to that part.
Yeah, so everybody's low in their first shot. Brett gets it. Tyler finishes right behind Brett, and then eventually becomes a boat race, which I love seeing, a boat race for first place. Tyler and Corey get their 8th win, which ties them for the most wins in a career for the Amazing Race, which is a tie with Dave and Rachel, who got it all in one season. Tyler and Corey got theirs in 2 seasons, with the possibility of breaking the record if they win one more leg. What do you think about Tyler and Corey's chance to be the record holders for most wins ever?
I love it.
It's high. I mean, how could it not be? Like, they're killing it right now.
There is, 4 more legs. They got 4 more chances. If they get 1 more out of 4, they have the new record.
It still needs to be a separate, like, Dave and Rachel still get their,
They get asterisks because they did it in 1 season.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like, I mean, nobody else who's been around for more than 1 season has really done well. I think David and Rachel have 3 wins. The Globetrotters have 4 wins. Jet and Cord have 7 wins. And, that's it. Nobody is really doing that well.
That's interesting.
How does that make you feel, Justin? No one does well in their second time.
That's why I'm so excited to go back for a second time. So all of the haters who like try to insult our season, we just had a weak season. I'm like, there's no way that our season was weak in any way, shape, or form.
You didn't have a weak season, but you did not have nearly the number of equalizers that exist now. So I'm just gonna, lay that out there.
Really? That you felt? I think there was an equalizer on every single leg of the race.
On your season?
Yes. When did we ever get a lead? You want to tell me?
All right, I'll go watch again and get back to you. Maybe
James will tell you.
What do you think?
I hate agreeing with Justin. I hate it.
I hate agreeing with him. Okay, that's fine. I'll be wrong if I'm wrong.
There was an equalizer every leg. It just didn't seem that way.
Okay.
There was many times I remember, like, we all got grouped back up, like at the bungee jumping, and then there was like we slept on a boat, and where was that? Was that Poland or Netherlands? It was Netherlands.
Didn't you have at least to take a number?
Yeah. Oh, that is fair. We did.
Yeah.
It turned a 7-hour lead into a 15-minute lead.
I understand. You're right. It's like not 7 hours.
It's a 15-minute lead.
How did you have a 7-hour lead?
Because the stupid little app broke, and they were the only people that had the app that worked.
I've never said that out loud, so I'm not agreeing with you. I love Jet Velocity.
That stupid little app worked for them and then broke for the rest of us. So the rest of us got on an equalizer flight that was like the catch-all flight.
I'm choosing to say that we were the only team to use it right, and that's why it worked. So
you can justify it however you want.
I don't think it would have worked that much different anyway if we were all on the same flight.
You wouldn't have had a 7-hour lead. I promise you that.
Okay, that's true. Yeah, you guys landed. We were done.
Yeah, we were in the air when they finished the leg.
Oh my!
Everybody else has not gotten to the country yet.
That's not even like. That's just not even.
But that's what I'm saying though. If this was like old school, we're like, bring back old school Amazing Race. Like it sounds similar, but we would have been like days ahead at certain points.
Right.
Teams. Like, there would have been teams like. Yeah. How far behind would TMZ have been just on the first leg? They finished hours after everybody else. Like everybody was done for hours before them.
Yeah.
And if you just keep compounding those legs, people just fall behind. I mean, the dancers fell behind one day, missed one bus, and they were gone for like 5 hours, and they had 0 chance to catch up. But other than that, all right, so Tyler gets the win. The Rileys versus Afghanimals. So everybody kind of falls out in order that they got there, besides Chris, who got their third, and Brett got their third and finished first. Everybody else almost finishes in order. So it's in last place for the Rileys versus the Afghanimals, who arrived later than everybody else before running to a beautiful pit stop. Did you guys see this water? Jeez, the water is just absolutely incredible, like this glacier Color Waters. A
So
beautiful pit stop. Rachel, did you think that Afghanimals were gone, or did you kind of feel like they were going to come back and win this one, even when they got there late?
When it was down to those two teams, I was not expecting a different outcome, but I was still like, well, they could get lost going to the pit stop because they struggled so hard previously.
I was hoping that would have been the chance. I mean,
Yeah.
that would have been the thing.
Yeah. But not so much.
Can we talk about Colin and Christy getting a U-turn and finishing in third of 7 people?
Okay, let's do it. So Chris
That
and Brett
is-
finished second. Colin and Christy finishing third after being U-turned.
That is terrifying. Like, I would be terrified if I was in the race against them.
Yeah. It's pretty insane.
That is nuts. But, I mean, that's kind of where they've been the whole race anyway. Fourth, third, first, third, second, third.
The only thing that I think has changed a little the dynamics, and it's been like this since I think season 29, is having the U-turn before, like the U-turn board before, or the U-turn vote before the actual U-turn.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's changed a little bit because you have a little bit of a pep in your step, so you know if you're having to do both, like, we got to hit this,
Right.
which is a little different if I don't know there's a U-turn coming up. I'm on this side of the U-turn. I finish it. I go to the board. Well, shit. I have to go back and do the other one.
There's
a little dynamic shift with that, but still.
I think it takes that mental giving up thing, because I think at some point if you give all your energy and you finally get through and you're like, yes, we get through this, and then you get to the board and you're like, that mentally giving up. A lot of teams, when they're finished at that point, give up. Whereas knowing you have to do both before you start, I think cancels out a lot of that give up in teams.
Yeah. And you just get immediately into that mindset of like, all right, we're behind. We got to accept it and like get to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely changes it.
You got Team Fun following them up, then Nick and Vic, and then the last two teams, Leo and Jamal, Rachel and Alyssa, and the Riley sisters are gone. Leo and Jamal have finished near the bottom again. They started the race first, but since then, 8th, 6th, 7th, 6th, 4th, 6th. They are not doing well of all the teams that are left.
Crazy enough, they're not the lowest average.
Oh,
Yeah.
Get to that in a second. Next week, booking your own flights leads to some old school airport drama that everybody's been begging for, saying they missed.
Woo!
Is that what we're saying? Is that a lie, or are they going to give us what everybody wanted? Some airport drama next week.
It looks like it.
I hope so.
I'm hoping that happens. I love old school airport drama. And that's what a lot of people have been begging for. So at least did you get some of the things that you like, you know?
Also, based on the preview, and I've always thought this, but like Team Fun is secretly like,
Very
I will cut you.
competitive.
Like, I'll cut you, team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is true.
Yes, it is. I think they're getting a lot better at it than they deserve sometimes. I think they're.
I still think they deserve everything they get, but like
I think they're sneakier than the edit is letting on. Is basically what I'm trying to let out there.
Yeah, and they're kind of unassuming, right? Like they don't give that off, but then you see it in these little moments, like trying to get people all like conspired on a U-turn before there's even a U-turn, and like, yeah, they just.
And let's remember, of all of this situation, like people focused on Rachel and Alyssa as the bad people of this whole thing. If you just take a step back and like I haven't met everyone involved personally, but like if you just take it at face value, it was really Team Fun that was stirring the pot at first. And Rachel and Alyssa just went to the people that they thought they were friends with and was like, hey, you should know this.
Yeah.
And somehow Rachel and Alyssa became the bad people.
Yeah. Because they started lying about details that didn't matter. We talked about this a little bit last week. And it was just like, if they had just been honest, like, yeah, we sat down with these people and they were talking about who they wanted to U-turn, and you know what I mean? Like, just, It was weird.
But I think that's just sneaky. That's
but you're
just
right.
part of like the Team Fun, like secretly catch you.
Totally. Totally.
All right. So let's get to some awards. James Earl, Seal Clap. Who's getting it?
My seal clap is going to go to Brett getting that little apple. I was so freaking happy for them because I really thought they were about to get first place. I was like, yes, they're going to do it. You know, I'm always for that underdog team.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, didn't quite reach that peak that I wanted to, but I'm going to give it to him for doing the apple.
I agree. Team Extreme. What do we got? This extreme move. What do we got, Jen?
I'm giving the Extreme Move Award collectively to Colin and Christy for getting U-turned and still finishing 3rd out of 7. No doubt about it.
Okay. Superfan move. I am giving it to Rachel for learning how to steer a cow by using the tail. I was super impressed, and something like that could have been a difference between winning and losing when you can control an animal that's uncontrollable. Everybody knows, just ask Colin, when you can't control an animal.
My ox is broken.
Yeah, you become a book that was written about the Amazing Race is titled by it. My ox is broken. Diana! Let's see who she's putting in check.
She gone.
Any surprises so far, or is the season playing out pretty much how you expected it?
More or less how I
I'm trying to think. This is pretty consistent with what I was expecting.
I think Chris and Brett are the big surprise. I didn't expect them to be around this long.
And they're getting stronger. They're getting better.
Yeah, they're definitely, for me, the biggest surprise of the season. Chris and Brett. If Tyler and Corey would have been the biggest surprise, but they're starting to do exactly what I expected them to do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they've picked it up in the past 3 legs.
Yeah, they won 5 legs in their first try. 3 legs already this season with 4 legs to go. They're catching their stride at the right time. Under the radar socially, they just had a U-turn vote, not 1 vote against them, even though they've won more legs than anybody this season. So I think they're in the right seat to win. Chris and Brett definitely the biggest surprise. Nick and Vic, I kind of all the teams expected them to be the last one standing out of all the non-Amazing Race teams, and I still think they will be. But I'm enjoying the season. Glad it's going well. Ratings have been phenomenal. It's been number 1 in its time slot pretty much every week. All right. Next week, we're going to have a special guest on for sure, 100%. If it's not somebody who's currently on this season, it will be somebody who's pretty cool to have on as a guest that works behind the scenes. Can't say what yet because it's 1 or 2 people. All right. What else? Diana!
Well, we're waiting on her. Who goes next week? Who leaves next week? Because we know next week is not it is an
every
elimination.
Every week is somebody getting eliminated. Okay. So next week. Is it going to be the Afghanimals who've been trending on the downside? Or is it going to be a team like Nick and Vic who are streaky and could be gone?
See, I think it's going to be Nick and Vic. I see the cracks happening with them. I think that the fatigue of the race is starting to hit them.
Yeah, so you're going Nick and Vic?
Going Nick and Vic.
Going Nick and Vic. I think that we're going to see a possibility of... Well, I mean, if you missed the airplane, Nick and Vic, I mean, from the preview, it does not look good for Nick and Vic. You miss an airplane, everybody else is on, odds are you're going to be the last team out. But since I believe in the editors, I'm going to have to switch that up. I'm going to say Chris and Brett. Something happens to them. Chris and Brett. Who are you going with there, Jen?
Do I have to answer?
She's going Colin and Christy. Colin and Christy. Surprise elimination.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. Mid leg surprise elimination. Gosh. I mean, yeah, like if you look at averages, Chris and Brett still do have the lowest average, but they've been doing better. But like, when could that just all undo? But Leo and Jamal, I just have not been super impressed with them. I'll go Leo and Jamal just for sake of variety.
Yeah, no, I mean that they have definitely the team that's trending in the worst. You got some averages for me over there, James Earl?
Yeah. I'm just going to start with Rachel and Alyssa because they came up in a 6.125.
Solid.
Next above them is actually Chris and Brett at 5.125. Leo and Jamal is next at 4.875.
Wow.
This late in the game, those are not good averages. Like, they're just not. Nicole and Victor and Becca and Floyd are actually tied with an average of 4.
Ooh.
Then another bid jump to Tyler and Corey at 3.25, and then another bid jump to Colin and Christy at 2.5. Like, you're starting to see the differential here. Like, it's a spectrum. Yeah. It's not a blurred.
So you got Colin and Christy, Tyler and Corey on a whole separate island, and then people start to get a little clumped. Two teams. So Tyler and Corey, Colin and Christy in the finals. Who's the third team that's joining them?
Ooh.
Tyler and Corey. Ooh.
Tyler and Corey, Colin and Christy. I mean, they should be universal, but maybe I'm wrong.
I think it's going to be another race team. It's going to be Becca and Floyd.
That seems like a good final 3.
Mm-hmm.
You agreeing with that, Jen?
Yeah, I think those were my 3 picks. I'd have to go back and look, but I think those were
they were too.
Picks.
I think they were your 3 picks.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome to find out how the season's going to play out.
Also, at this point in time, no non-amazing race team has won a leg, by the way. I don't know if y'all realize that.
Yeah,
Still,
I know.
only
8 legs
amazing race teams have won.
Chris and Brett almost shook that up.
Yeah, they did.
So
they
sad.
did. All right, there's 2 ways to watch The Amazing Race. You can watch it as a super fan the first time and just enjoy The Amazing Race like I do, and then watch it the second time and be cynical. Because I know a lot of people can find things wrong with the race, whether it's linear, things are easy, something like that. There's always ways to find ways to improve the race, but I'm happy the race is still on. Certain things happen because of budget cuts. Cut them slack. Be more of a positive fan, and I try to.
I'm loving this season.
No, I know. Yeah, I'm just talking to some better people in general in the chat room, asking certain questions that I'm not getting to because I want to try to be more positive. There's enough negative out there, and Colin and Christy have taught me one thing: it's that the world, if you ask the world for its love, you can receive its love. So more love on this channel.
A lot of love out there.
I think those 2 would just be fun to hang out with. I just want to like listen to them.
Everybody that I've talked to from this season of the race says Colin and Christy are their favorite team.
Yeah.
So they really made an impact on a lot of teams.
It's awesome.
That is awesome. Well, I don't know what happened to Diana. I'll make her.
Can I put someone in check for her? Can I guess who her in check would be?
Get it.
I think it's going to be the Afghanimals for not getting a map. Like, don't be that team. When it's your 3rd time on the race, like.
I think she actually even said that. It's your 3rd time on the race.
Yeah.
When you raced, there was definitely self-drives because it was back in the day. So you were there for self-drives. If anybody should have an advantage, it should be you. You shouldn't be the team being lost. So I agree. That was a good answer. Diana's going to put them in check. Thanks, Diana. Good job. Well, we appreciate each and every one of you and all of the time that you spend with us. We know how valuable it is, and it means a lot that you spend some of it with us. Super fans nerding out about our favorite show. A little thumbs up, like, subscribe, share it with somebody who you think would enjoy it. If you like the audio version, check them out on iTunes. Speaking of iTunes, Jen, what should they be looking forward to on Balanced Pursuits?
Our episode with Kelly Clark is out, which I talked about last week, but we're also doing a giveaway for one of her books soon. Her book is called Inspired Pursuit of Progress. Check us out on Instagram at Balanced Pursuits, and you'll see details of that very soon.
Yario Garcia, yes, more U-turn votes in later seasons. I would love to see him. I think it would be a great idea.
I'm really intrigued by whatever Jen just talked about. I've already started looking up on Insta to try to figure out what this Balanced Pursuit is. I really want to know now. Like, that was the perfect teaser, Jen. Like, professional.
There you go. That's the way.
Been getting me to practice, so.
There you go. People in a situation, they got to be able to ready. I mean, you do great things, and I think you should spread that. James Earl, anything you'd like to share with the viewers, the listeners?
Nope, I'm just plodding along, being a doctor. Nothing real interesting on my end.
Saving lives, no big deal.
Just saving lives, doing what he does, no biggie. Well, awesome. We appreciate you. Thank you guys so much. It's 8 o'clock. Go watch some good TV. Actually, it's beautiful out. Go outside. Later.
Bye.
Bye.